Good afternoon from Ohio. Hope everyone's having a great day. I just sitting around the house between work and going over some of my sports memorabilia. I've been a sports collector. When I started out, I generally started out 10, 11, even less than that, collecting hockey cards, football cards, basketball cards from the 70s. It's amazing a lot of the rookie cards I've had, and we used to collect. It was dirt cheap. You buy boxes and boxes, and you'd be surprised of all the cards that I had. Wayne Gretzky's rookie, Montana's rookie, Marino's rookie. And then as I got older, I didn't realize the value at certain times, and I had such a great collection of magazines and cards but I wound up selling them off for things I needed, and I wish I never did. Over the last few years, I've been slowly gaining and collecting more sports memorabilia. And from the 70s and 80s and 90s, not so much for today. But I go to rummage sales, I go to flea markets, I meet various people, and I collect. And some of these things I've collected on my own. But I enjoy collecting magazines, starting lineups, Fungo dolls, cards, and all sorts of memorabilia. It's memories of being a kid. And I just added a few things. I add a little bit at a time because sports collecting can be very expensive. And some of the more things I've been able to collect was this Pittsburgh Penguins 2001-2002 anniversary pin set. Just right after they won their Stanley Cup against the North Stars. And then, of course, I collect sports Fungo dolls. I just picked up the Alexander Ovechkin, of Gretzky, the greats of the game. And then, of course, I collect old hockey cards, football cards, all sorts of old sports memorabilia. Being from Minnesota, I collected a lot of sports memorabilia from Minnesota. I collect old football cards, basketball at Jordan. I really love that 92 Sports Illustrated with Team USA. So I love collecting a lot of old things and things that bring back good memories to me. And my starting lineups: Elway, Favre, Aikman, Marshall Faulk, Young, Rice, legends, Walter Payton, and then, of course, Terry Bradshaw. And then my hockey, and of course I collect my Sports Illustrateds with Jordan's, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, classic doubles, Pavel Bure, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, and Dominic Hasek, their first starting lineups, and of course Brett Hull. And then my rookie cards. I guess I've been collecting a lot of cards lately, so I got the Russian connection with Fedorov and Bure from 90-91 Upper Deck American. I used to collect the French version, and those were hard to get, and those are really good cards. These are the American version. And then 91-92 Upper Deck, Forsberg rookie, Lidstrom rookie, and then Teemu Selanne, of course. Then my goalies with 91-92 Felix Potvin, 91-92 Martin Brodeur, 90-91 Mike Richter and Ed Balfour, and 91-92 Dominic Hasek, and 91 Matt Sundin, and I got many others. I got a lot of duplicates of that. And I love collecting hockey cards in particular, but all sports cards from the 70s, 80s, and 90s in particular. Those are the peak times I really grew up and got into collecting. And then, of course, my magazines. I love this Super Bowl from 2014 from Denver and Seattle. And then Hall of Fame programs. I collected over all the Hall of Fame ceremonies. This one was from Elway and Barry Sanders. It's amazing. From 2004. It was only $6 at the time. And then, of course, I love collecting Michael Jordans. And then the 2015 World Series between the Cubs and the Indians. And this one, the 81 All-Star Game program in mint shape from Richfield Coliseum here in Cleveland. I found that at a flea market. So those are really cool. And then I got my Indians and Twins, 100 years of Cleveland Indian memories. I collect all sports memorabilia from various teams. Like, I got the Milwaukee Brewers, too, somewhere in here. Their anniversary with the great Brewer teams of the 80s and 90s. Raleigh Fingers, Robin Yount, Gorman Thomas. It's really cool. Paul Molitor, Cecil Cooper. And I'm able to collect all sorts of 30, 40 years. You look back at the time I was growing up, and it was a great time to be a sports fan. And they're not like athletes of today. Like I said, older sports magazines, Minnesota anniversary issues with the Twins and the Vikings, including a yearbook with Randy Moss, rookie. Of course, old-time baseball magazines, old-time sport magazines, Sports Illustrated, my Michael Jordans, Barry Bonds, when he broke Hank Aaron's record, my friend Tarkenton's, and one I really love is this Walter Payton 76. This is going to be one of his first issues of Sports Illustrated. And then, of course, World Series issues, programs, 70s, George Brett. So I love collecting old-time sports magazines of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Joe Montana and these older ones from the 60s. So it's very enjoyable. I don't necessarily do it for a profit. It just brings back great memories of the time I grew up. My jerseys, I love collecting hockey jerseys from the 80s and 90s. So that's just a little bit of what I do. I collect a lot of sports memorabilia, sports card. It's not a cheap hobby anymore. And I gave thousands and thousands of dollars away earlier in my childhood, in my teenage years, and even in my adult years. But generally, I love collecting sports memorabilia as a hobby, and it's fun. It's not to make money. I'm not going to be a millionaire off it, but it just brings back great memories. So I just thought, if there's any sports collectors, sports memorabilia collectors out there, card collectors, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.